sound in the background. So let's go ahead and get started and we can have others jump in. So good morning, good morning. It is the end of May. Can you believe it? It's just hard to believe that we're starting on June in just a few days. So welcome to the Inner Circle Success Call. As always, we get to start with celebrations. So what is everybody celebrating today?
I am celebrating the infographic.
Yay, yes, yes. I'm actually going to show it today if that's okay.
Yeah. Needs a little bit of work and a little bit of zhuzhing, and yeah, they're small.
Yeah, I sent you some feedback this morning. I don't know if you saw it yet.
Yep, I've been looking at it, so
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome, good, great celebration. What else are we celebrating?
I'm celebrating that I had a client get really uncomfortable with me a couple of days ago, and she's feeling like I'm not showing up to her enough. And why that's a celebration is because it has given me what we talked about at our last call. I have not had enough structure. I'm charging different people different things. I make myself super available until I'm super busy. So it's given me, it was like one of those really uncomfortable conversations that I was so grateful for. First of all, it was a huge power step for her to step up. Second of all, I don't want to say forced because I don't like that word, but it gave me huge opportunity to get my systems, my structures, what I charge, how available I'm going to be, like to get organized and to leap into that like fire of those uncomfortable conversations is such a growth opportunity for us both. So
yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. And that structure and those boundaries will serve them too. Will serve your clients as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. So they know what to expect, because most of the time that's all people want is they want to know what to expect.
Well, and I was overgiving, which I tend to do. And so
and then what happens is that when we overgive and we start feeling like we're not getting paid for what we're giving, then we get resentful, and then that energy starts getting all over everything.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't serve anybody.
Truth.
It's the same whether it's overgiving or undercharging. Either one will do it. If you're undercharging for your services and you start feeling resentful, like let's say you're doing a workshop and you way undercharge for it, and then after the workshop you've got a couple people that have questions and you resent it because you only charged $97 or whatever for the workshop, that's not their fault, but they're triggering that in you, and it's because you're undercharging. So yeah, that's a big one, Lisa. Good for you. What else?
I'm celebrating that I have a 9 email stream nurture campaign for people that are joining, and it's now with Nicole to make it so.
That is so awesome. Yeah, and it's going to be so good to get that automated, so you don't have to worry when somebody new comes into your list or into your Facebook group. It's just all set up and ready to go. And the goal for everybody, what I'm kind of setting as the stake in the ground goal, is to have the first 30 days. So Laura's going to send hers every other day, basically. So she'll have the first 18 days. So we can add a couple more along the way to get to that 30 days. But can you see how having that in place, when someone new comes into your list, it's just automated. It takes it off of your plate, and you're not recreating the wheel every time somebody comes in or feeling like you're not communicating with them. Big celebration. Love it. Teresa, I think you're left.
I'll go.
Go.
I'm celebrating that Sherry and I got my Facebook ad almost ready to go. And Sherry, I signed up for my free gift. And so I've been getting my emails every day. And so it's great. So it's working. My system is working. And yeah, so it's good. So I'm going through and proofing and editing everything. So I'm celebrating that it works. Yay.
That's awesome. And her ad got approved on the first try.
Yay.
And actually, for anybody that's doing or thinking about doing Facebook ads, there was a new thing that happened when Teresa and I worked on her Facebook ads that is actually a really great move on the part of Facebook. you know, I've shared my journey with Facebook and getting an ad rejected. And it's so frustrating because you work hard to get the ad in their system, and then you have to wait for them to review it, and then it gets rejected, and then you have to try to appeal it, or then you have to change the copy, and it just lengthens the time period. Well, when Teresa and I were doing her Facebook ad, we had tried an intro line that started out something like feeling stuck, but know that there's more out there waiting for you, or something like that. And at the bottom of the ad, when we put all the copy in, there was an error message that basically said your ad may not run because it's, I can't remember the exact wording, but it basically gave us the reason. And the reason is Facebook is very sensitive right now to negative language, and they interpret feeling stuck as negative language. And the reason for that is that they want Facebook to be thought of as a positive place where you go to for social and interaction and friendship and so on and so forth. They don't want it to feel like a downer, basically. And they interpreted feeling stuck, which we may or may not interpret as a downer, as that negative language. We changed that intro language, and it immediately got, that error message went away, and the ad got approved on the first time. So to me, that is a huge step forward for Facebook, because it's going to save advertisers so much time. And frankly, for me, it may have avoided me getting my account shut down, because there was something in that ad that I did that they didn't like. And if they would have told me that before I ever tried to publish the ad, then I could have fixed it, and I, you know, may not have had the hassle that I have. So anyway, so that was a good news too. How about you, Teresa Kanan?
Well, I am celebrating. I apologize for being out of the loop so much. So I'm just going to just listen today and try to catch up where everybody's at. And I'm writing notes of things I've missed. I'm celebrating that I have 2 amazing gals that come in on Tuesdays right now. They're my new customer service queens, and they're handling all the customer service for my website and the email. And I don't have to do any of that anymore. So it's wonderful.
That is so awesome. That is so awesome. And it'll just allows you, frees you up to do the things that you need to be focusing on. Love it. Love it. Okay. Okay. So what I wanted to spend just a couple minutes on this morning, it prompted me from looking at Patty's new infographic, which I will share. And that is, who doesn't know? Let's start with that. Who doesn't know how to do a URL redirect when you buy a domain name? Does everybody know what I mean by a URL redirect? So Laura's saying yes, Teresa's saying yes. Okay, so about half of us. Okay, so here's the situation. So what triggered it was I was looking at Patty's new infographic, and at the bottom of her infographic, of course, we have the invitation to sign up for a consult with her. Well, of course, she put in her URL for her Acuity scheduling link. Well, those of you that know Acuity know that those links are pretty darn long, right? And they're not very pretty. So it's not as easy to get somebody to click on that link when it feels like it's kind of a long series of numbers, and it can almost subconsciously feel like they don't know what they're signing up for. So if that link was pattymarin.com/connect, then it would be a lot easier to get them to sign up. Or if that URL was schedulewithpatty.com, that's even better, right? So there are 2 things that I wanted to share today is that if you don't, everybody, let's see, does everybody have a WordPress site now? Teresa, I don't know if Teresa, your site's not WordPress, right?
Are you meaning this Teresa? Teresa?
I'm sorry, Teresa can't.
Okay. Yeah, you can just call me Tree, and then I'll know who you're talking to, Sherry, right?
Okay.
Mine is quasi WordPress. I don't do it myself. I put the pages in, but mine's through Like So Rain POS. So
Okay.
they've put security in there that I can't totally change everything, but I can change my page names.
Okay. Okay, but it's not on a WordPress platform. It's
No.
on your platform. Yeah. Okay. And Patty, yours is not either? Okay. Okay. So the reason I asked that is because with a WordPress base, then you can create a page and actually do the /connect kind of page. If you don't have that, if you have lead pages or ClickFunnels, then you can create the pattymarin.com/connect that way. If that's not an option, then the easiest thing for you to do, which for the most part I recommend anyway for big things that you're going to use over and over again, is try to buy a domain that is the exact domain you want to send people to. So for instance, I have the domain connectwithsherry.com. So if I'm speaking and I'm offering a consult, doesn't matter whether it's virtual speaking, live speaking, or I'm on the phone with a lead for that matter, and I just want them to schedule a consult call with me, all I have to do is say, you know what, just go to connectwithsherry.com and get on my calendar. They can remember it. Now, of course, spelling my name is an issue sometimes, but it's easy to remember. I don't have to give them numbers and digits and so on and so forth. I don't even have to give them the /. It's very direct. So if any of you have not tried, I would look at whether you can buy the URL. If you're doing consults, buy the URL, schedule with Lisa M, or if you can't get Lisa, you probably schedule with Lisa's probably taken. But see if you can get that URL. Laura, I know you did that, right? And it's easier. Would you say it's easier?
Yeah, so I have connecttolara.com. So I can put that in and I can make it be whatever I want it to be, right? If I'm promoting something, I forward it to Connect, or I forward connecttolara.com to that.
Yeah, which actually is another good point, that if you, it might not always even be scheduling a consult that is linked to, because when you buy a URL, you don't have to have a hosting site in order to use that URL. You can do what's called a redirect. So with Laura or with me, we have, connecttoSherry.com. All I do is go into the place where I bought my URL and do what's called a redirect to send them from that Acuity scheduling link to connecttoSherry.com. And then the computer, the old amazing internet, does everything else. So I'm a little bit of a gatherer. You might have gathered that. And I probably own 50 URLs. I have URLs for programs. I own rapidenrollmentformula.com. I own rapidresultsintensive.com. I own icsuccesscalls.com for inner circle success calls. So there's a lot of URLs that I've purchased specifically for that purpose, just because I know it's going to be easier for me to communicate them than to give people a long URL. So does that make sense? Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
So that kind of I know what you're talking about, but it still gets all twisted inside my head. So my web guy did this thing, and it's teresacampos.com/schedule/. I mean, that's one thing. Like, you can go on there and you go right to my 30-minute consultation thing, right?
Yep.
But is that what you're talking about?
That is one way to do it. So in that case, what that is a sub page.
Right.
So you know how, like, even on your website, you have teresacampos.com/about, or whatever your about page is.
Right. That's a sub page here.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's basically they've created a sub page, and that's where the sub page redirects to. So that's one way to do it. If you buy the URL, then that's a direct link. So if you buy schedulewithteresa.com, then that directly goes from the Acuity schedule, let's say, to that redirect.
So I have bought one of that for, like, my funnel, right? I have one that says something else, but so where do we buy these? Is it domain, whatever called?
Yeah, you don't have to. Yes, you can buy a URL hundreds of places. I suggest that you buy your URLs at a different place than where you host your website. So for instance, I buy every one of my URLs, I buy at GoDaddy.com. And honestly, not because GoDaddy is better than any of them. I've just used it for 20 years. So it was 20 years ago, there weren't as many as there are now, and I've just never changed. But there's Namecheap, and if you search domains, you'll find hundreds of them, and they're pretty much all the same. doesn't really matter where you get your domains. Where you host your website is probably more, it could be GoDaddy, it could be HostGator, it could be Bluehost, it could be, 100 others. Teresa Campos, I know your site is hosted by your web guy. So it can be anywhere, but I recommend you keep them separate. The reason being, if you have a problem with your website and you need to move it off of your host, if your website gets corrupted, sometimes it's easier to just change hosts than it is to actually fix it on that host. And honestly, I learned this the hard way, where I had a website, when I was COO of another company, I had a website that got corrupted, and we had bought the domain name at the same place that we hosted the website. So there was no way for us to easily move our hosting account because they were tied to the same provider. If you've got your URL on GoDaddy and you're hosting on HostGator, all you have to do to move the website is go into GoDaddy, which is not corrupted, right? And change the settings to say, you know what, I don't want it to go to HostGator anymore. I want it to go to Bluehost. And it saves a whole lot of problems. So I'm sorry, that was a little bit of a side thing there. So you're gonna buy it on, say, GoDaddy, the URL, and then all you'll do, I'm gonna open this up just so you can see it. So this is, let me share my screen real quick here.
So like Sherry, I have a Wix site.
Yep.
But I bought my URL from Network Solutions.
Correct.
So then when something would happen to my website, I just disengage that link.
That's correct.
And I can link it to another.
Yep, because
host.
you can go anywhere you want to go and move from Wix to something else.
That makes sense. And then the redirect is I'm going to buy that URL that says schedule with Patty, whatever that is. And that redirect will go to my Acuity scheduling.
Correct. So
Okay.
like here's the domain I was talking about. I'm in my GoDaddy site right now. And here's schedulewithsherry.com. If I go into manage, and this is GoDaddy, it'll look different in different places. And I scroll down here. Oh, interesting. Of course, I would get the error when I'm trying to show you something. Let's try to go back and try it again, see if it'll. Oh, there it is. Not sure why I did that. Okay, so if I just go down here to the bottom, I can do what's called manage DNS. DNS is basically the instructions that you give the domain manager on where to send the data for that URL. And GoDaddy must be having some kind of problems. They seem to be pretty slow.
So then that's where I would put that long URL for the Acuity scheduling.
Yep, so see down
Okay.
here on GoDaddy, it says forwarding, and you can see here how I have an Acuity scheduling link in here. All I do is tell GoDaddy when someone types in schedulewithsherry.com, send them immediately to this link.
So Sherry, I feel like I know what you were saying here, but there's another step here because you have to set it up, right?
You have to buy.
You got to create the URL, okay, right?
Yeah, first you have to
So-
buy the
so then-
domain. That's the first step. First step is
Pardon?
buy the domain.
Right. Okay, so maybe it's language. If you scroll to the top of your page and it says buy and sell, or what do we click on? Okay, this is like kindergarten for me. So you
I'm
click on
gonna go back to
domain.
main GoDaddy. Let's say that you are going to see, you know what, I wonder if schedule with Teresa is taken. You guys can fight over it. Okay, so it says schedulewithteresa.com is available. That's pretty amazing. So one of you should buy it. Oh, no, it isn't. Wait a minute. Yeah, it is. Schedule Teresa. It's weird. It doesn't say it's available anywhere. Do you see it?
Go down, Sherry, right here. It's 5 down, 4 down.
No. Oh.
Schedule with Teresa is 4 down from the top. There it is, $11.99.
It's Teresa's with an S.
Oh,
At the top,
Usually it says-
under,
Yeah,
it says
usually it says is available.
Okay, but anyway, so then that's how you would do it. And then you search for what you want to do.
Yep,
Okay,
so
and then it'll prompt you through the rest of it, of course.
Yeah, so you buy the domain, and
Yeah,
then
got
once
it.
you bought the domain, then it's going to show up in your, see, I'm going to buy Schedule with Teresa. I don't want to get out. I want to get out of here. Go here. So once you bought the domain, so if I scroll down here, so Rapid Results Club, I don't think I have that forwarded right now. So if I go to Rapid Results Club and I go to manage, I probably could have gone directly to the DNS one, sorry. Then that's where I tell it where I want to forward it to. So if anybody else has been on Zoom, I'm finding that Zoom is incredibly slow when you're trying to be on internet and run Zoom.
I got it, Sherry. Thank you very much. That's what I needed.
Does that make sense to everybody?
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, Sherry, I wanted to add one thing, one caution. So one of the things to do, and I learned this the hard way, is to write down the name of the domain you want and then any alternatives that you would want to have so that you're ready to purchase at the time that you search. If you search and get out and you found, oh yeah, it's available, and then you sit back and you take some time to think how you really want to use it. When you go back in, it's gone because they have those web crawlers and they buy them up. And then later they'll market to you and they'll want to sell it to you for $500.
Yep, and it does happen. And that's the downside of all the cookies that are out there right now, because they're cooking everything you type in your computer. And
So I always, whenever I do a purchase like this, I always use an incognito tab in Chrome because it doesn't collect the cookies.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. So one of you better buy schedulewiththeresa.com because they're going to buy it, right? Okay, so here's how, I'm sorry, I do have this forwarded, I'm sorry. Okay, well, let's say I'm just going to click on edit. Okay, so if I didn't have this, it would just say add. And then I can go in here and I could say, okay, I want to forward it to, it's an HTTPS or HTTP, whichever it is. And then you just type in the website address, that the Acuity scheduling link or whatever it is that you want to forward it to. And then usually actually I hit permanent here. And then the settings on forward only and forward with masking, where that does become important is if you do forward with masking, then when they type in schedulewiththeresa.com on the browser bar up here, that will not change when they actually go to the link. If you do forward only, then what will happen is it'll be they'll put in schedulewiththeresa.com. When they hit on it, then on the web browser bar up here, the actual Acuity scheduling link will show up. Okay, so now why would you want one or the other? Anybody have any ideas? It's kind of a test, but it really
Well,
is.
I think I'd want just forward only.
It's sometimes. What I always say is if you do not have a host for that URL, so that you only have HTTP, you don't have a security certificate on it, then you want to do forward only. Because these days there's so much security risk, not risk is not the word, there's so much security awareness that people, if they go into this web browser and they don't see this little lock, and can everybody see what I'm circling up here in the top left-hand corner? If they don't see that little lock, then it will scare them away from doing anything on that web page. So if you forward a domain that you don't have a hosting site on, then it's going to be HTTP instead of HTTPS, and you're not going to have this little lock up here if you do forward with masking. Okay, in my case, I have this forwarded to a ClickFunnels page, which I have as HTTPS, so I want it to mask, because there is also a slight risk. People get leery sometimes when URLs change at the top. That makes sense?
Yeah, but I didn't completely understand it, and you don't have to explain it. But so in, like, let's say my case, just going to Acuity, what is the best thing to do? To forward only or forward with masking?
In your case, I need to check your it's probably going to be forward only, because you're going to buy the domain and you're not going to have a website behind it. And Acuity, of course, doesn't have you can't change the domain with Acuity. So it's going to be forward only.
Thank you.
Now, okay, so I actually should have done the easy way first, but what I just kind of went through is kind of the hard way, but it's the more brandable way. The other way that you can shorten a link is using a URL shortener, like, has everybody heard of Bitly? bit.ly. Bitly is a link shortener where you can literally, my mouse is not wanting to work here. You can literally just go to bit.ly.com and okay. Okay, there is no period between it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go to bit.ly.com and then it will let you put in your link. So you put in your long link here, like for Acuity, and then it will spit out a shorter link. And you can change the shorter link so it's bit.ly.com/Teresa or something like that. Now it has to be something that's not taken, so it's going to be a little harder than that. But that's another way to get a shorter link where you don't have to buy a URL, you don't have to redirect it, and it's a little bit more direct. But it's also not branded, so it's it's not the best alternative in terms of that.
So that's a good link if you're in Facebook, right? Like if you're on a Facebook post and you want to put something short.
Yeah.
But the thing that I've gotten stuck with on this before is like if you use /Teresa, you can never use that again. It's not like you can.
That's right.
Go back and edit it and say, oh, I didn't really mean this long link. I meant this long link with this extension. So once you use it, it's gone.
Yeah.
Well, what I just read about Bitly is that they are starting to do branding now. I haven't looked into it more, but they are offering that.
That would be really cool if they did that ability. It would kind of make sense. It would kind of make more sense to do like what ClickFunnels and Leadpages do, where it's rapid.resultspartner.com, which is a whole nother story I won't go into today. So we can definitely go down that rabbit hole. So does that make sense? The bottom line, what I want you to take away is avoid whenever you can having a really long URL, whether it's in a Facebook post, in an email, on an opt-in page, in a infographic. You always want to make it look inviting, and if possible, have whatever the name on the link is make sense to the user for what they're going to be using it for. So obviously schedulewithsherry.com makes a lot of sense, right? If you've got pattymarin.com / communication, that makes sense because they're looking at an infographic about communicating with your adult child, right? Okay, questions on this? Okay, hopefully I didn't totally confuse you already this morning. Okay, let me see if I can find my... Okay, so let's talk questions. What's coming up for people?
Well, Sherry, last week I should have been at Spring Market in Pittsburgh, and that's changed. And you were great to reach out to me and say, Teresa, this is a chance to get rolling on stuff. And it's just a challenge, as you know, with everything going on. But I've been selected to be one of the 300 people that they've chosen to do the virtual presentations. And so I've got a Zoom meeting later on today. It's funny because they think they're going to teach people how to use Zoom. So it cracks me up because I've been doing so much. But I will get on and do that. But one of the things I did last week with Zoom, which is different than I haven't done before, is I actually did a workshop where I had 3 different shops that were participating, and they were each in their own Zoom classroom. And then I was the over presenter for all of them. So while I was presenting, they saw me.
Yep.
But then when they wanted to do their sharing and things amongst themselves, they did that amongst themselves. So that's the first time I've done what, I forgot what the term was that they called it, but that was really different to do that.
Yeah, they call it breakout rooms. Yeah. Yeah, it's great when you have a bigger group and you want to break people apart to do dyad exercises, or I belong to a group that we do speed networking, and we use Zoom rooms, and we break people out into 2 people, and you'll do a round of speed networking. Then you come back to the main room, and then you do another round, which is really kind of cool.
Well, the reason why I had to end up breaking to that is because shops were not wanting to get on at the same time another shop was, because of their fear that one shop would steal another shop's customer, which cracks me up because they're all on the internet. They've already lost,
Right.
It's silly, but I understood what they meant. So this allowed them to have this sense of security that the other shops couldn't see their customers. But the truth was, I would say, this shop and this shop and this shop are participating, and darn well that while they're Zooming, those people were looking at those other shops. So it all worked out.
That's great. That's great. And how are you feeling about doing the virtual workshops, Teresa?
I am feeling so good about that, and I'm getting such a huge participation that I don't know that I'll ever actively go to a quilt show, especially right now with all the travel. There's a lot. I think I'll be a lot more picky and choosy. I don't think I'll be going to Grand Rapids, Michigan in the middle of the winter again. I won't have to, but I'm just doing so much virtually, and I really enjoy that. Record quite a bit of it. The other thing that's happened is by recording that, by posting those recordings on my YouTube channel, my Facebook, and on my website, people are finding those recordings later, and it's boosted sales. So our online sales have actually increased as a result of it. And I wasn't doing badly before that. So it's worked out really well.
That's great. I think, is anybody else feeling that way, that it's like the pandemic, one of the biggest lasting effects for most of us in this industry is going to be live events are going to be a lot fewer and farther between. Because I think people are realizing how much you can do with a live event, even virtually. So it's going to be interesting. Although I have to tell you that there is nothing that can replace that one-on-one connection at a live event either. So I'm kind of sad in that respect. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. What else is coming up?
I just wanted to say that I think that we're going to hold those live retreats in such higher value. It's going to be really interesting because in time we'll be coming back together. Yeah. We're going to appreciate it and value it so differently.
Yeah, I think that's very true. Which may be good from the standpoint of live retreats, the ability to do high-end live retreats will go up because people will be willing to pay more to get together in person.
Well, right. And so many people right now are so familiar with now doing it virtually. Like you couldn't have proposed a virtual retreat between this and have gotten the same kind of response that you'll get now because we've had to operate virtually.
Right.
So my husband and I run a business. It's an online training business, and he's actually shifting some of the focus to actually be how to have effective online gatherings, events, right? And that he's building the distinction that it's not like 9 to 5 every day. It's like a couple of days, but you have like a 2-hour chunk or something, or 90-minute or 2-hour chunk. So you're in, you get the content, and then it could actually be better, because how many of us walk out of all day events going, ah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So interesting. Yeah. But I do love the online. I mean, I do love the in-person too. Yeah. And you're right. It'll just be more valuable.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Patty, do you want to share your infographic?
Sure. Let me find it.
And tell us the kind of the background of what direction you're going.
Yes, I had it downloaded and then I put it up in the cloud because
I can find it. I think I have it open.
Because that's who I am. At least that's who I was this weekend. I was getting everything up in the cloud.
Let me go to the top here. Okay.
So I am, my target market is really the empty nester parent, moms in particular. So my infographics are going to be the Empty Nester's Guide to. So my first one is the Empty Nester's Guide to Communication with Your Adult Child. How to build communication, and just some really basic points that parents don't think to talk about with their kid, like asking for permission. You know, now that they're an adult, do I have permission to give you some ideas? And to know that you get to let them choose whether you agree with it or not. And then you get to accept their choice, you know? So that's kind of what my first one is about. I realized that an infographic has little space. So I get to maybe look at my verbiage. I tend to be wordy. So I get to look at my verbiage and make it really, really tight. And so I have room for a logo. So I have room for some other things. So this was just kind of my first draft. And my branding is navy blue and gold. So if you guys have suggestions on how to make that pop without being heavy, I'm so open to that.
I'm curious, what's the reaction to the colors when you first see it? I know it's a little hard to look at it, but most people are going to be looking at it like this on their computer or phone.
You're asking for our reactions?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well,
I have it on a split screen right now, and the sub content underneath your headers, under like say build communication, to me it's lost. Your subheaders jump out, but I lose the rest, and I know I'm going to have to either zoom in or pinch in. So if I were looking at that on my phone, I probably wouldn't spend time on that.
Okay, beautiful.
Mm-hmm. What about the background color? I was debating. I like it because it's bold, but I was debating whether it makes it feel heavy.
I think that's a good point, Sherry. I mean, you know, there's so many things that we can do with these kinds of things.
Right. It's all subjective.
But exactly. But maybe to make the words pop a little bit more. Because I think, you know, obviously, I mean, what you're bringing, Patty, is frick. I'm so happy to see this. So this content is amazing. But yeah, something that, I don't know, like maybe that could be just so those words pop out.
So if I did it where the words were navy and maybe the background is a light gold.
That could be a possibility. Even just the background, this color is of your copy. And then keep the lavender, or even have that be navy too, potentially. And then the words be navy. That'd be a good thing to try.
What I did like about how dark the color was in the back is that it felt really grounding.
Yes.
Right. So I actually felt like it was welcoming and grounding. And I agree. I can't read the small print. I can read all the stuff in the headlines. I can't read the small print.
I mean, you could try making this bold on the navy background, but I'm not sure I'm not sure it's going to get where you want to go. But you could try that as a first step. Make this copy bold.
Yeah, and what I was really, you know, I want to use my logo colors, yes, and what I'm really going for is kind of that grounding nature kind of thing. So I am not like invested in the color by any means. So because I can have my logo at the bottom, not a problem. So
to that point is that the intention is to have a series of these. Have the Empty Nester's Guide to, you know, brand new relationship with your spouse, the Empty Nester's Guide to finding your next career. So literally to have a series of them. So you're going to have to come up with probably different colors. You're not going to want all of them, I don't think, to be the same color.
Same color, yeah.
So Patty, if as I look at that, is the background a royal blue, and then your leaves is that a light lavender? Is that what that is?
It is kind of just a light lavender. So, and it was just the graphic that was there, and I can definitely put a picture in. I do have
do you
a
have the
picture,
ability to take your leaves and just change the color of those? Do you have the ability to do that?
I believe so, yes.
So this is just color theory coming from the quilt queen here. Because blue and the purple are next to each other on the color wheel, that's one of the reasons why that purple fades into the blue in your lettering that you have there. So if you just go across the color wheel, or you go to a triad of the color wheel, you skip 2 colors away, you're going to find that contrast will be out there a little more. So whether that would be from like an orange to a yellow, or something like you said, closer to your own logo colors, that will pop it more. But when you have 2 contiguous colors on a color wheel, you're just not going to see them.
Yes, and when I quilt, I am a monochromatic quilter.
There you go. Okay, well, yeah.
Just so you know that, yes, I have a whole quilting studio downstairs, and I tend to be a monochromatic quilter as well. So thank you.
Oh, that's funny. I forgot you quilted, Patty.
Oh.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'm feeling like the communication with your adult child, just maybe a straighter font on that one. So I don't know, something about it bleeding together. I'm feeling more like a linear font on that. I would also love to know just generally more about what an infographic is, how it works, how it's going out into the world, what this is, the intention behind it. I love what you're teaching. I'm actually receiving it. It feels really good. Thank you.
Okay. So an infographic is basically an option for a free gift. So it is a one that is 2 words with core bite of information. It works really well if you have facts or steps, which in this case, it's kind of steps is what Patty's going through here. Or if you have just some succinct ideas that you want to communicate, like keys to make a good infographic. And so it's going to be used as any other free gift would be used, whether it's a checklist or a template or a script or a meditation. So they'll opt in for it, and then they'll get the infographic and then get the invitation for the consult. Does that make sense, Lisa?
It's perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Patty?
I have one last comment, and it's about the spacers in between.
Mm-hmm.
I personally would consider maybe seeing how it looks not having them, because it makes it busy. Because the content is so, I think the content stands on its own personally, and that it's kind of like, it's just not necessary, because you have the bold build communication, and then boom, you got what's next, ask permission. Like those spacers, like, don't feel like they really have to be there. Just
That is great feedback, because that saves me a lot of room.
One other thing you could try, if you feel like it still needs some kind of a divider, is make it not as wide. Make it just like the middle. So it still gives you a little bit of a break, but it's not as obtrusive.
or maybe the break just on the first one, like communication with your adult child.
Yep, and just that first
I
one,
do
and
think
then
you need one at the top. I do think you need something here, but this is a pretty big break, if you will.
Yeah, and I think too that the font, I can always change the font. So I'm not, and I think the font on the dark really does not show up well, and it's because it's the font. So
that will make a difference. And this is what I was talking about on the URL. So you can see this is a pretty long URL. So if that was was schedulewithpatty.com, it would fit on one line, first of all, and you can hyperlink it. You don't even have to have the HTTPS on what's on the page. So it just gives you a big ability to shorten the communication. And then one thing I'll mention, since we're here, is anytime you do a free gift like this, you really do need to pay attention to the footer and make sure that you've got a copyright, make sure that you have contact information, and make sure that in 90% of cases, make sure that you have a link to your legal copy, to terms of use and legal privacy policy. That just should be a standard habit you get into of having that footer on the bottom of anything you do. Never going to be anything you shouldn't have it on, basically. Okay. So good job, Patty. I can't wait to see this series, because I think it'll make a great series. And then she can use this on her Facebook group. She can use it in other people's Facebook groups. So can you see like someone, she's in somebody else's Facebook group where she participates in a lot, and somebody asks a question about they're having trouble communicating with their adult child. She can answer their question and then say, hey, I created an infographic on this. Would you like it? And even if it's in somebody else's Facebook group, and she doesn't necessarily want to send them to an opt-in page, because that might be outside of the rules, she's actually being generous and helping if she just gives them the PDF, and then when they get the PDF, at the bottom there's contact information. So she still has that ability to make that connection. Cool. Good job. Okay, what else is coming up today?
So much copy to write.
One at a time, one at a time.
I'll go. I don't know. This is just something that's on my mind. So I have an assistant, and I love her. She's super efficient. She's, not local, of course. It's non-local. So one of my things is that, number one, sometimes I just need help, like in my office, right? I need somebody physically here helping me organize. But I get to these places of where I don't know what to give her. Oh, I need to do that. I need to do that. And yet I need help. So I'm like all over the place sometimes with what I need to ask for help for. And I know this is very vague and broad what I'm saying, but that's just what's been up for me. Because she's like, right now, text me like, what do you need me to do, Teresa? I'm like, oh, I don't know. I have to write that copy. So
yeah. Okay. Great question. Great question. The easiest way that I have found to look at what you can outsource takes a little work up front, quite honestly. And that is to take a week, and it does take at least a week, and have a notepad next to your desk and write down every time you're doing something that is something that is repeatable. Write it down. Because those repeatable tasks are the first things that you want to outsource. So any kinds of email reminders, call schedules, getting someone into the new system, onboarding a client, kind of those tasks you have to do to onboard a client. All of those things are generally repeatable. They're the first things that you need to set up a process so that you can outsource them. And every business has things that are repeatable. Teresa at the beginning of the call mentioned she was celebrating that she has 2 people coming in to do customer service. Well, in order for her to get there, I'm guessing you had to figure out what the most common questions were in customer service, so you could maybe make templates or something like that, Tree? Yep. So that person now coming in has a process that they can follow, so that when the question comes in about XYZ or an order issue or something like that, they've already got a template that they can respond to it with. So
Right.
You're confident that they're going to say the right thing. They have the tools to be able to do it well, and you take that repeatable task off your plate.
So I did that, Sherry, and in addition to them coming in physically into the shop, they also 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, answer all the customer service emails. They respond to all the Facebook messaging. I won't say that there aren't some things they send my way, but say, for example, I'm starting a new campaign or something, I'll jot down the FAQs that go with that so they can respond to people. And every once in a while, there's something that's very specific that somebody will send and they'll forward it to me. But holy camole, that took like a whole day away from me, a week. And that's a day I can spend on other things. And Laura's smiling and grinning, so she must have done the same thing.
Yeah. And you don't really realize, or at least I find that you don't really realize what's taking up so much of your time until you do a little bit of the work. And it does take a little bit extra time just to document what you're spending your time on. The other thing, Teresa, I don't know, Teresa Campos, do you use like a to-do list at all?
Oh yeah, I have a list. I do a list. Yes, for sure.
When you go,
I ha-
go ahead. I was gonna say, when you go through that list, every single thing on that list, ask yourself the question, why do I personally have to do this? And my guess is that there are quite a few things on that list that you really don't have to personally do. You maybe just haven't set up a process for somebody else to be able to do it. And a writing email may or may not be something you can outsource depending on who it is, writing copy. But there are probably other things, like give me some examples of the things that you feel like bog you down or take extra time.
Well, right now I'm working on a project where I'm putting all of my past astrology clients in a pipeline so that like every month I can say, hey, this is time for your reading kind of a thing. So like I have to physically do that because these are all hard copies. But after that, this is
copies of their readings.
The charts. That's how I'm able to keep track of them. There's just no other way. So that's like something I have to do. There's just no other way other than a hard copy. And so there's that. And I don't know. And then it's like I'm working on this course, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I have an answer. Maybe having her go through my emails and tell me which ones are personal, which ones I need to address. Because I'm kind of an email Nazi. I don't like I don't like thousands of emails. I don't do that.
Right.
I probably have 4 or 5 in there each day because I've cleaned them out every morning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
That could be an example of one where she goes through and gets rid of the junk. You just tell, and by the way, just unsubscribe. That's what I've been doing lately. It's like, okay, I delete these every day. Why do I keep getting them? I just just unsubscribe them.
No, I do that. I don't, I mean, it's, I'm telling you, my emails are clean. So yeah, but maybe I can have her help me do that. I think it's more just about, like I've always been a one-man show, self-made woman. I do it all myself. And so it's like, okay, how do I outsource to get support? That's what I'm learning.
Yeah.
And so your astrology charts, could you scan those and give them to her electronically?
Oh, I could.
And that takes that part off your plate. You highlight what, there are like snippet, whatever. You can highlight what, yeah.
Is it just,
and that way she can get them in the pipeline.
Scan the whole thing?
What'd you say, Sherry?
Do you even have to scan the whole thing? Can you just scan like the cover sheet that has the details you need to put in the pipeline?
Yeah, I would just, they're just like a, hard copy piece of paper. Yeah.
I think that's a great idea, Patty. And we could scan them in a bunch. You don't have to even do it one at a time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm processing. That's why I'm not saying anything. My mind's going now. Okay.
I think that's the right question is as you look at everything that's on your list, why do I have to do this personally? And is there a way that I could automate the process or outsource the process?
Because this thing has taken me some time. And I see, so my system also puts birth dates in. And so my system will send out a birthday text to them, which I want that to happen, right? Happy birthday. So I want that, make sure that's all the dates are in there, that I'm inputting that. And I'm like, anyway. Okay. Thank you, Patty. Yay.
Anybody else have any great tips for how they outsource?
So Teresa, what I found is that outsourcing was the first step, like deciding to is the first step. And then every step of the way, I had to keep watching what was coming up for me because I have this excuse like, oh, like it's just so easy, right? Like I actually have my VA now actually accepting people into my private group, but it was like, well, that's so easy. And shouldn't I know who's in my group? And that was an excuse to take up a ton of time every day. And it's like, okay, so why? Like, so if I weren't accepting them into the group, I could actually be connecting with them in the group.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's like me, like, so it's like, what is it that I'm believing about what it means to have somebody support me? And then if a question gets asked, I go to like, see, it would have been easier to do it myself. So I have to call bullshit on myself, throw that thought over my shoulder and, and be like, okay, I'm doing this now because the next time I won't have to explain it. So just know, like, if you're the self-made woman, the one-woman show, like just know like that's going to be part of that. Part of your process is looking at what do you believe about it, or what do you believe about being busy or working hard or whatever that is for you,
Yeah,
because it's
super
just the
helpful.
beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super helpful, Laura, because you know, and I know that many of you can relate to this, you know, doing the work that we do, some of it is so intimate that it's like, no, I need the touch on that. I need to put my touch on that, when it's like, oh my God, and then I'm depleted because I'm touching everything, right? And it's like, well, I don't need to hold your hand through this process, right? So thank you. Thank you for that reminder. Appreciate it.
Very cool. What else is coming up?
I just want to say I'm so glad I asked that question. It was like, oh heck, I'll just ask this. I was not going to even bring this up. So thank you. I'm so glad.
Those are usually the best questions. And you always know that at any question you ask that you're like, oh, I shouldn't ask that, I shouldn't ask that. Somebody else probably has the same question or has been through it. Love it. How's the group doing, Laura?
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of interesting. We have some excitement, right? Which is always a good reminder. You know, somebody will ask for advice, and then they'll get like my group loves to give advice. So then one person will get 24, 25 different messages with advice, and of course it's conflicting advice, right? So so it's cool. So I get to say like, okay, so now you have all of this. Now it's time to go within and see what resonates for you in this situation. And the latest one was actually kind of interesting. It's common and complicated in that the child shared with the mom that they were pansexual, but doesn't want to share with the dad yet. And the mom's like, I don't want to keep secrets in my relationship, and I don't want to destroy my trust with my child. So now what? And so it was really interesting to just watch the full range of answers anyway. But it's like a great segue into being able to have the conversation with them about like, yeah, it's great to see what's possible, but then you like are the parent for a reason. Like you get to decide what resonates for you. Like what what feels like the best for you. So how can you and also how can you keep asking the question, how can I support my daughter and still have my connection with my husband, because your brain will answer that question if you answer it that way instead of being like, oh, I got to do this or that. So that's cool. And then a I did a Facebook interview last week, and there's this product called Be Live TV, and I love it because it does like the side by side interview.
Yep.
Right. And it actually puts any comments that are happening in Facebook Live into that stream at the same time. It's just so much easier to use. You send someone a link, because I've been on Facebook Live trying to get the other person to connect. And when they don't, like, you just look like an idiot because you're trying to fill time. So I did it last week with somebody who's actually in a healing school, and she's been doing meditations, and she wanted to get her meditations out. And so I was like, great, I've got a platform, like I'll invite you to do a meditation. And so it was really cool because we actually talked about grief. So we talked about grief and what comes up for us when our kids, and she actually she has a daughter who, one who's mentally challenged, and she has another one who is like bucking the system in all kinds of different ways. And so it was really cool to be able to see, like, you could use the language of any parents. And so she did a beautiful meditation where she had people gather up their griefs and let them float down the river. So it was really kind of a cool thing. And then I have somebody in my group who has been like aggressively self-promoting, which isn't really allowed. And I've had the conversation with her, and she's a really interesting person in that she's married to another woman, and they have 4 kids, 1 or 2 in the LGBTQ community. And like they do all of these really interesting things and have this interesting nonprofit. So I invited her to do an interview because I figured I'll figure out what she's doing. That allows her to get her message out. And in that discussion, I can be like, okay, like once a month to remind people that they can find your stuff here. Like that would be okay, but not 3 or 4 times a week. Because right now I have her on the, I have to approve, you know,
Yeah.
because she's in there more than I am sometimes. And it's like, yeah, no, like, and it's not even that I don't want to support people. It's that like she's just like it's in your face, like go
Right.
do this. Not like, hey,
She gets
here's
to
the
have
latest
her own
poem that I
page.
wrote, and then at the bottom, you know, because it is interesting, but it's anyway. So we get to have
Yeah. Well,
that
and it's
discussion.
good for you for taking a stand for your group
Yeah,
and what you want your group to be and how you want your group to show up to your group.
yeah,
So yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So I think she has a lot to contribute, and so yes, and so somebody else showed up, and I was like, okay, I just keep inviting people for Tuesday interviews. So I hope to keep that going because it's sort of easy
Yeah.
and fun.
Yeah, and it gets different points of view out there, which is one of the things that is an objective of your group.
Mm-hmm.
That's perfect.
Exactly. So that's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lisa.
Hey, Lisa.
I would love to ask more about that. I'm just feeling kind of called to interview series, and I know we've talked about it, but information's coming in slowly into my brain these days, so I need to hear things over and over. The BeLive.com, how does that work in conjunction with the Facebook Live?
So it's basically a front end on a Facebook Live. Like I go into Facebook Live and my blood pressure starts to go up because now they have you make all of these choices. And I know it's not that complicated. The way that BeLive works is it's the front end. And so you can schedule, like I can schedule that I want to be live tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And it gives me a link. So anybody I want to invite, I just send them that link and I have them show up early. And it allows me to, like in the frame, it allows me to say what I'm talking about and say whether I'm in a group, I'm on a page, is it to Facebook, is it to YouTube? Like I get to determine where it goes. And I could do it real time. I don't have to schedule it. But if I do schedule it and put like a photo, it posts it in my Facebook group telling them I'm going to be live at that time. So it's not one more post for me. So I'm already there. And then it has this cool feature on the bottom where when I log in, it shows that I'm live. And then when somebody else logs in, it shows them next to me. And I can choose when I want to bring them in or not bring them in. And I believe I can have several people, but I haven't tried that yet. So I believe that I could bring like one person at a time, like if you wanted to stage people or have more than one person. But it's just from, and then on the side, if somebody, it's sending it to your Facebook, is sending it to wherever you said, right? So if it's in your group or on your page and people are commenting, the comments show up on the screen that you're looking at in BeLive. So you can reply to those comments and they go back and forth. And so to me, it's just easy.
Yeah, and you can do more than one person with BeLive. You might or might not have to have an upgraded version. I can't remember for sure. But yeah, BeLive is one that's been out there the longest, really. I've heard good things about RevStream, RevStream or Restream. I'm not sure which one. Maybe Restream.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about that. There are other ones out there, but BeLive is one of the oldest, if you will. The biggest advantage to me is being able to see the comments while you're on the live. One of the big things that I've struggled with being on a Facebook Live on desktop is you can't see the comments. So you don't know, at least I haven't figured out how to be able to see the comments and respond at the same time unless you've got like your phone or something next to you. So you're looking at, you're constantly going like this and looking at your phone to see what the comments are that are coming in.
Yeah.
You can just see how many people are on there.
I always do my lives from my phone for that reason. So just one more inquiry around that. What do you consider to be, like, how do you use the interview series for, are we using it for list building, or are we using it to bring people into the group? I mean, I'm so good at generating free content all over the place, but what I need to do is be more structured in what I'm creating for my end game. Why?
Yeah.
Where do I position it, and what's the gifting in return? Like, I really have to get strategic about that.
Yeah. So just like Lisa, with you, we talked about if you do 3 Facebook Lives a week, do 2 interviews and 1 on your business page so you can use it for outreach. You might do something similar with interviews. Have some interviews, maybe in the group you feature people that are in the group, let's say. So it's a benefit for being in the group as you get to have a live interview. But then if you have somebody who has a broader appeal, do that interview on your Facebook page so that then you have the choice to download it and use it other places. Because if it's in your group, there are some privacy issues that you may or may not, want to download it, or the other person may not want you to. If it's public in a public business page, then you can download it and use it for list building as well. So that's the main way I'd be strategic in terms of the interviews. You can sell interview series. So you could do a series of 6 interviews, package them up, and sell them as a series. So maybe you pick a topic, like right now, it's probably too late, quite honestly, right now, but maybe earlier in the pandemic, picking a series of people that were, focused on the consciousness around why is this happening, that kind of thing, and package it, sell as a series. Maybe it's a what's next, what's the possibility as we move through this current pandemic. So it can be a packet, it could be a product, basically. You can also go the full range of using the series of interviews in a concentrated time as a list builder. So you find 6 people that have a common message but different points of view. They have a general topic and then different points of view around that topic, and you create a landing page where the interviews sit, and each of them promotes it to their list so that they have to opt in, which means it gets them onto your list, and then they can give something away so that they get the cross promotion. So it's basically it's the old what used to be called telesummits. So it's a version of telesummits. My opinion on telesummits is I would probably, well, I won't say never, but it's unlikely that I would recommend that you do one of the old time telesummits where they had like 22 interviews, because people just won't listen to them. So it's a lot of work, and you've got 22 interviews that you may be able to repurpose, and that individual might be, but you're probably not going to get a lot of new business from it. And people aren't opting into them. So they're not a great list builder. But what?
They're very expensive to put on, and
they are, because they take so much management time. I talked to a gal the other day that spent $2,000 just on VA services to manage her telesummit, and she got like 197 names. And it's like, Facebook ads are cheaper than that, I
had a friend spend $14,000 between
14?
her. Like maybe 12,000. This is a few years ago, between like the hiring the person who was going to put it on, and the assistants, and all the web, and all the development, and all the stuff. She increased her list by 800 or 900 people, and then she had 3 people buy her program.
Wow. Yeah, that's not a very good return on investment in time to me. But having said that, if you do it on a smaller scale, so it's over just maybe like it's a week where it's 1 interview a week, and you can announce it in advance, and you're doing it live too, which also gives you other benefits, and then you record it so you can download it, then it could make sense for the right topics.
So this is basically like a bridge between doing like a podcast, right? Like a virtual podcast, and then actually having the platform be where the audience is already built in, as opposed to promoting the podcast and getting an audience. Like, go where the audience already is, gather the content, and then repurpose.
Yep, exactly. And which also brings up the opposite of that, which is you can also build your list by you searching out podcasts where your ideal clients are likely to listen and being a guest on their podcast.
Yeah,
that's actually an easier way. It's easier in some ways, I guess. So I definitely would consider that. Podcasts right now, I think that they're, if you find the right ones, there definitely can be some possibilities. It used to be they were really hard to monetize because so many podcasts, people would not let you promote at all. even to give your email out at the end. They wouldn't let you do that. And that's really opened up a lot, because podcast interviewers are realizing that people aren't going to come on their show if they don't have some way for them to get something out of it. So that's changed quite a bit.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Laura. Are you going to say something? Oh, something just like I just had this whole epiphany for myself. And number one, doing those interviews, I've been wanting to do that, and that sounds like fun. And so I just realized, so in my business, and this is what I've been feeling, is that if it doesn't sound like fun, I don't want to do it, right? It doesn't resonate me. It's not fun. And I don't want to be stuck doing something where, and I'm not saying anything against a podcast or, you know, like a summit, but if I'm tethered to something, oh, that's such a turnoff for me. It's like, I feel like my business needs to be fluid. And then, and I've given myself like, oh, am I jumping around too many things? But I stick with things. I see things through. Anyway, I don't know. That just came through. It's like, you know, if it doesn't sound like fun, then I don't want to do it. And it's like, if we're doing what we love, then it comes, right? It comes, and we just have to have all the marketing pieces in place, doing the fun thing, but it'll happen because we're in alignment with what we're here to do. So anyway, I just want to share that. That's it. Thank you.
I don't think you'll get a whole lot of arguments against that one, huh?
I'm calling it the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
That when I started, when everything started happening with Corona, I got kicked into super high gear. I was like, what's the path of least resistance? What's the quickest way to do it? What brings me into the greatest service? Like, I didn't overthink anything. I just went. Everything was very ease-filled. Everything started filling up. And then I was trying to ride the momentum. And I was like, well, now I should do the next thing, and I should do that to keep the momentum, and I started getting into the push. And it didn't resonate, and my results weren't as good, and I was resentful. So yeah, path of least resistance. I think that's what we get to learn here.
Yep, absolutely. Cool.
So Lisa, your question was a great question about how to do it. So I have actually been doing the interviews in my group as a way to get some different perspectives, and also to continue to show me as the person who started the group, right, and is in the group, right? Like, it gets my face in front of it. But I would love, Sherry, any thoughts that you might have on what I could do with those. Like, I guess a couple of them that I could actually post on the Facebook page with an invite for people to join the group.
Yeah, with permission from the person you interviewed, for sure. Yeah, you could definitely do that, because you can't share it out of the group.
Right, I know it's this
download the video
thing.
Yeah, you can download the video and share it on your business page. That's probably a good way to start, and then put the copy that's similar to what you're using for your memes above the video, and then let it get some traction in your Facebook page. And then if it gets some traction, then that would be a great example of one that we could boost, like you're boosting your memes, back to get people in the group. That's a good example. The other thing is with video, it's a little harder, but any kind of clips that you can cut out of your video, I mean, it takes editing is the problem. But if you can cut some clips that are more like 1 to 2 minute clips, those are great ones to put on your business page, because they're just short little blips for people to watch, and they're not going through the screen and seeing something and it says it's 48 minutes long, and they're not going to listen to it necessarily. They don't have time right now. But if they see it's 2 minutes long, and the topic at the top, your lead in, is interesting, and your headline below the video is important in that case, then they might listen to it. And if you're always directing them back to your Facebook group, or wherever you want to direct it back to a consult or whatever it is, then you can use it to get some interest out there. Those are also great to boost in terms of Facebook. Put $5 a day against it to boost your audience and get more people to see it. If it's something that's written, then you want to take that content and you want to take pieces out of it. So Patty, even like your infographic, each one of those steps could be a Facebook post. Each one of them could frankly probably be a Facebook Live. So you pull pieces out of your content and repurpose it on other places. You could turn that into a webinar if you wanted to, Patty. So you take the same content and repurpose it in different ways, so you're not having to constantly create new stuff. That's the big thing.
And I'm just going to plug a little bit here. I've decided, my son, who's just graduating from high school, right? And he's like, how do I get a job in the world? And, you know, these seniors right now, God bless them. I'm going to hire him to do my video clipping.
Awesome.
And yeah. And so we're getting him all set up for that. So if you want an inexpensive person to do your video clipping, let me know.
There you go. Yep. Yeah. Cause it does take time. It's one of those things that it's not hard, but it's time consuming, because in order to find the clips, unless somebody tells you it's at 12 minutes and 15 seconds, they gotta listen to it, and then you've got to hope that they can find what the good clips are.
Well, I'm listening and putting time mark stamps in it, because I don't trust him to know what my value is being, I mean, it's not really his MO. So
yeah, that's a good point. The other thing I've discovered is that, when you edit a video and then you try to put it on Vimeo or put it wherever, it's often 30 to 45 minutes for it to upload. Yes. And that's just time where, like, yes, you can do other stuff, but it's like, it's not really complete. Right? It's like that whole thing, like you have to watch it still.
Yep, that's
like,
very true.
Damn.
Which, by the way, is also something that you can outsource to a VA. They shouldn't be charging you time for the time it's uploading, only the time it takes them to start the uploading. But then they can be the one that's watching it at the end and making sure it renders correctly.
Yeah.
So I'm taking clips because I have so many Facebook Lives from my group from these last few months. I'm taking those, cutting out the like, hi, welcomes, all that stuff, kind of tightening them up. And then I'm even chopping some of those up into 2 or 3 minute sound bites to use for Instagram social posting, just little sound bites of information.
That's perfect. Yep. Yeah.
So then it gets multi-purposed in like 4 or 5 different ways.
Yeah. The other thing that that is something that is great for you to have in your back pocket in terms of video is 2 or 3 case studies. So taking some of your clients that have had great results, and it's not a video testimonial, it's actually you doing the talking. You might have their picture if they're okay with that, with their permission, but it's more about you talking through how you supported that person and how they were thinking and feeling and what was holding them back when they first came to you, what their challenges were as you were working together, and how you helped them to see the path, and then what the transformation was for them, what the outcome was. So it's the same format really as a testimonial, but it's you speaking to it usually with like a PowerPoint slide deck with just pictures and a few words on the screen. That can be a great tool to use as basically a more of the know, like, and trust factor with potential leads. So for instance, if you meet somebody, I did this the other day, there was somebody that had posted in one of the Facebook groups that I'm in, and had asked a question. I don't remember what the question was. I answered the question in the Facebook group, and then she came back and said, oh my God, that's so helpful. Basically, can I talk to you is kind of what or something like, how do you work with people, or something like that. So then I took the conversation out of the group and private messengered her and started a conversation. And then she said something about, well, first time I've ever been asked, first time in a long time I've been asked this, she asked if I had references. And it's like, interesting. I've never, haven't got that question. And so then I never would ask for, give out a person unless I asked somebody. So I had to reach out and ask some people for references that I thought would be a good match for her. And in the meantime, what I didn't have that case study that I just mentioned. So what I did was I literally sent her the thank you page from an old opt-in where in the reminder series for the consult, I had done a video testimonial collage, and I had video testimonials from like a half a dozen people. And I sent her that testimonial collage video, and she hired me on that. So she never, I don't think anyway, that she's ever even called the references. So it's just kind of interesting how things kind of work.
Can I ask a question about that? So two things. One, where would you, okay, you could use it if a client had asked, but where else would you put this? Like, let me talk about the transformation that occurred, like on my website. Would
For
I
the
put,
testimonial case study?
yes.
You could put it on your website. You can use it in Facebook groups where it's could be on the edge for some people in terms of the rules of their group, but you could use it as almost like I'm so excited about the results that a client of mine just created. And I created this short video about her experience. It's kind of on the edge. So a lot of people may think it's too much self-promotion, but you might, be able to do that in some groups. Mostly I would use it in personal conversations where somebody, you're wanting to deepen the conversation before you make an offer to them.
Okay. And then I love the idea of video testimonials. What's the ask for that? Because it's easy to say, hey, can you shoot me 2 or 3 sentence response to what our time together has been like? And then even then it takes people a while sometimes, right? What's the ask for, like, can you shoot me a 2 to 3 minute video, or would you recommend getting on Zoom, interviewing them and using the clip?
Usually I get on Zoom with people. I use my judgment on who the person is. If they're used to doing video and I can just give them the 3 questions and they're going to do it, then I'll do that. But a lot of times I'll get on video with them and then edit it for them. But there's always 3 basic questions. The first one is, what was happening in your life, in your business, in whatever area you work in that had you decide to work with me? Then what was the experience of working with me? So you want to try to get them a little bit into the emotion and the feeling and how the empowerment that they got from working with you, those kinds of things. And then what were the results that you created? And you want to get on the results as specific as possible. Like Kristen, Kristen Earp that's been on the call, she's not here today. She created 22 clients in 4 months. Okay, that's in the world of new coaches is a great soundbite. So you want to focus on those kinds of results where you can. I had a client, a one-on-one client that I work with that's a money coach, and she works primarily with entrepreneurs. And just at an event, she met three different people that were actually in career search, and she ended up doing sessions with them, and all 3 of them got jobs within 30 days at 200 grand plus because of the money breakthroughs that she created with them. So she created a little case study around that. So it just depends on what you're doing, but generally that with video and interview is better, is to answer your question directly, Lisa. Cool.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Switching topics. 2 weeks ago when I was on here, I asked the question about doing a like a private Facebook group or a Facebook group period, right? And versus having my business page. And so I just came to a realization today as I was sitting here. The idea of having a private, or a Facebook page on a certain theme, I love it. My personality loves it, but it's like that feels to me like a lot of work. And so Laura and Lisa shared their experiences with me. And I think for me now at this time, and this is what I just want some feedback on here, is that like, why can't I just focus on and this is like just a rhetorical question, like, why can't I just focus on my business page? Like, that's where I can put all my energy to and I don't have to create a whole other thing for me to manage. Just stay here, Teresa. And so anyway, that's kind of where I'm at right now in this moment. So.
And I totally understand the question. The unfortunate answer is you don't get a lot of bang for your buck really focusing on your business page. Because
So what is the bang for my buck? Like, what am I not getting?
You don't get exposure because Facebook, their algorithms are set up to not show your posts on your business page organically to your followers unless they request it. So unless you've got people that are literally adding you to their list of, I don't know what that I can't remember what Facebook calls it, where you basically where you want those posts to show up, the exposure that you get is not great. Actually, Teresa Kanan is probably the one that's created the most success with getting that organic reach, because she gets so much engagement on her business page. But that's,
Okay.
I mean, Teresa, what would you share as far as what you think keys to success are there?
I think cross promoting to those groups are a huge piece of that. And so if you think of the groups, like, just like if you were Teresa Campos, if you were going to have a group there, like what kind of a group would it be? Like, so for example, I do a lot of Christian quilt designs. And so I have a group called Quilters of Faith. And so only Christian quilters that quilters who are Christians would go to that group. And so what happens is people who are just out searching for something, a faith-based quilt, an inspirational story, they end up landing in my Quilters of Faith group. But I'm posting from my business page, I'm sharing to that group every single week. And so then they end up on my business page, they end up on my website. And so that really helps. I have several groups, like if I'm having a quilt along, or if I'm having in your case, some sort of a group meeting where people are meeting, I have those set up as instructional groups. So there's folders sitting on them where they can get products, information. Now, can they get the same information from my webpage? Sure they can, but you've got those people who at midnight are out trolling around Facebook, and if they can get into stuff and find snippets that you need, or like Lisa was talking about, like the little itty bitty little snippets of those interviews, those would be the kinds of things that I park those in a gazillion places, because I don't care how they find my business page, I don't care how they find my website, I just need them to spend some money when they're there. And so they go off in that group and they find the pieces that they need, and then they backfill into the other parts. And so I'd be a strong advocate for, it might seem like it's more work, but if you ask yourself, like for every post that I do, I come up with 3 or 4 possible responses to people's questions or responses or things that they might say. And that's exactly what it can be your virtual assistant or my customer service queens. They just do that for me. And every once in a while it's specific to me and I have to do that, or I'll just review them, but I don't spend a lot of time on those. And yet I have several groups going, and it's really helpful.
Okay, that's really helpful. So then what I just got from that is that, okay, it doesn't have to be that difficult. Like if I focus, let's say if I were just to focus on my business page, well, I could just focus on the group that I create and then just post that on my business page. So I'm not maintaining 2 pages, because I'm thinking, oh, do I have to maintain 2 pages? Like, I don't want to do all that, right?
No, you would share it from your business to your group.
Onto that page, and then that would be just that. Okay, got it. So there's still one focus.
Right.
And so then if a person, I'm sorry, Sherry.
Go ahead.
If a person in that group then shares it off to another group that they belong to, like in my case, a quilting group that they might belong to, next thing you know, I've got 6 or 7 more people wanting to get involved in that group, and then they're backtracking onto my business page. So it's an organic reach method that Facebook Business doesn't allow. When Facebook Business dropped their natural organic reach to 1.5%, your business page is purposeless unless you have some sort of a funnel or mechanism by which you draw them to your business page.
Exactly. And the key in what Teresa said is that she's posting first on her business page and then she's sharing with her group. Now, in your case, it's
Wait, what Teresa are you talking about, Sherry?
I'm sorry, Teresa. Tree, I'll call her Tree. Tree's her nickname. So what Tree is saying is she's posting on her business page, and then she's sharing it into her group. And then the group is where the communication and the community and the connection is really happening. which then gets them excited. So then they're inviting their friends, which Lisa McCardle experienced this big time with her Facebook group. Most of her people, it was all organic. It was other people inviting to her group. So then they invite new people to your group, and then constantly you're adding value. You do need to add some specific value to that group though, because the group does have to feel like it has, like there's a benefit of belonging to the group, a little exclusiveness.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Tree, in your group, there are also things that you do, whether it's a quilt along or something like that, you host those in the group, not on your business page, correct?
Correct. There's quilt alongs that I do in my group that are not on my business page, but then I turn around and I back share those onto my business page to funnel more people into the group. I also then take those.
The group. Yeah.
Right. And same thing for my YouTube videos, then those backfill into my groups as well. And so my group, oftentimes it's a place where I can store some files and some information if they don't have time to find all those places on my website. But I just always am trying to figure out a way of how to share it out or share it back. So there's some pointers. And then that way, then if they share it with anybody, then you get the notification of that. And so you can thank people for sharing and give them something a little free or a little free snippet for sharing your information.
Hey Tree, could you turn your volume down just a little bit? I'm not sure what it's like this. Are you guys getting that popping?
Yeah, it's I think it's something with your microphone, Tree.
It's just, yeah, I keep turning my volume up and down.
Do you have a headphone in? It might be
You're on mute, Tree.
Yeah, it might be banging on something. You're muted now.
I'm really trying to listen and I'm like, ah.
I ordered a new microphone because I thought it was my TMJ. It was clicking.
It's still doing
Yeah, it's still doing. It's actually worse now.
So I know we're over time, Sherry. So then the focus would be to put it on not my business page first, but the other page, and then post it over. That's kind of what I'm hearing.
No, it would be to put it on your business page first and then share it with the group.
Okay.
Okay. So like when I was talking with I shared with Lisa McCardle, she's doing 2 Facebook Lives in her group because that's specific content that's the benefit of being in the group. But then she's doing 1 Facebook Live on her business page that she knows isn't going to get a lot of organic reach, but she can share it back to the group. And then she can use that one on her public business page to boost it to get more people that she then invites to the group. And she uses that as her public face in a sense.
I'm actually not doing that, but I am going to start doing that because it makes a lot of sense.
Well,
we talked about it.
She will be doing that. So
Okay,
does that
thank
make sense
you.
now, Teresa? So
Yeah, it does. We could talk more on the side, but I think I got it. And so I am going to create a page.
And
Okay.
one thing I just want to close with on Facebook groups is Facebook has gone on record that their #1 priority right now is Facebook groups. That they want to make Facebook groups the centerpiece of Facebook. And so the reality is we all probably will have a Facebook group as a part of our business, if not now, soon. You know, I'm actually just preparing to start one that's going to be more of a free Facebook group for Results Partner. And to circle back on where you started, Teresa Campos, I don't want you to go into it thinking that there's a way to create a Facebook group that is no work at all, because
I get it. I get it.
It is work.
Yeah, I get it.
Particularly in the first, I would say 60 days, the group relies a lot on you to get traction.
Yeah.
Laura Hackle, I think, would second that as well with her experience with starting a new group, is you've got to be present a lot those first 30, 60, 90 days until you get the group taking on a life of its own and have enough people in it that they're commenting on each other's stuff and keeping the conversation going without you having to be there on every post.
And I'm just going to speak to, I'm watching, my energy's dropped the last few days because I'm just tired and need to come inward. And I'm watching my engagement on my Facebook group just go it is I just checked, I've had no comments on anything from 40 comments to nothing happening now. There's a simultaneous flow where I feel like the world is opening up and people are going out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that I think there's going to be a natural shift in that. So my job is to hold the container
Yep.
for when the energy comes back in and to rest a little bit right now. So there's a natural fluidity and don't get attached to it. And I'm like scratching my head like, okay, something's changing. What am I supposed to do next? And I don't have the answer yet.
Yeah.
But I need to shift the energy of the group because the energy that we created this in is shifted.
Right. Exactly.
So now I'm in the inquiry of like, okay, what's next? How are we doing this now?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And the other thing I'll leave you with, Teresa Campos, is come back to priorities. You know, it's like, okay, what are the top 3 priorities right now? And where does Facebook group fall on that list?
Right. Well, but we're doing the Facebook ad. And so I'm about to put out these ads and it's like, where do I direct them to? My business page or the group?
A consult.
Right. But no, we have on email number 2 to invite them in to be social. That's why I'm asking.
Okay. So for right now, I would just invite them to the Facebook page and you're fine. The business page.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
then you can always, then you at least have them on your page and you can invite them to the group when you start it.
Okay. So no need to rush. Just
No.
calm down, Teresa. Okay. Got
Exactly. Yep.
So Teresa, on that too, and I apologize if this keeps clicking. I have a new microphone. I've
Not
got
anymore.
Now it's better. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll try to hold my head still too. I think that's part of it. But think about your group in terms of it keeps your people from having to scroll way down. It depends on how much you're posting on your business page. But if you're posting 4, 5, 6 different things on your business page a day, then those people who wanted to look specifically for something, they can't find it. And also the other advantage of groups is they can search in a group. I love that because they can find exactly what they're looking for in that group. So if there's something very specific that they're looking for, then I put key terms with those and they can find them very easily.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And yeah, there's so many ways to use groups and it's only going to get better because it's Facebook's priority right now. Cool. Okay. Sorry, we went a little bit over, but that was a good.
Thank you, Sherry. Sorry.
Good topic. Okay. So everybody have an amazing week. I cannot believe that it's almost June. So I'll see you here for our next Inner Circle Success call. I think it's like the 14th of June. And reach out with any questions and go be amazing. Bye.
Goodbye.